Lately, I've been getting the same question almost every week. Should I remove DEI work from my resume? Should I tone it down? Is it safer to just leave it out altogether? And every time I hear it, I understand where it's coming from, but I also feel a deep sense of sadness that this is even a question people feel they have to ask. Because this fear didn't come out of nowhere. People are watching headlines, they're seeing companies publicly step back from DEI initiatives, they're hearing loud narratives that suggest this work is risky, controversial, or somehow responsible for broader corporate or economic challenges. So job seekers are doing what job seekers always do in uncertain markets. They're trying to protect themselves. But here's where I want to slow the conversation down a bit. What we're seeing right now isn't DEI failing, it's DEI being blamed. And that distinction matters. In many ways, DEI has become a convenient scapegoat. When organizations struggle with retention, engagement, productivity, or trust, it's easier to point to a visible initiative than to examine deeper systems. Things like unchecked capitalism, burnout cultures, wage stagnation, or leadership structures that concentrate power and decision-making at the very top. Blaming DEI keeps the status quo intact. It redirects frustration away from systems and toward people. And the irony is that most of the people criticizing DEI don't actually understand what the work involves. Real DEI work isn't about tokenism or lowering standards. It's about removing unnecessary barriers so more people can contribute fully. It's the reason we have things like parental and paternity leave. It's why workplaces are more accessible for people with disabilities. It's why flexible work, clearer expectations, and psychological safety even exist as concepts. DEI benefits everyone, not just the people most often named in the conversation. And I've seen this play out again and again through my clients. I've heard stories about teams that became stronger after hiring someone from a non-traditional background. Not because they checked a box, but because they gained a perspective they didn't already have. I've seen leadership development programs designed to support women of color result in better trust, better accountability, and better outcomes across entire departments. When people feel seen, supported, and respected, they show up differently. They take ownership, they collaborate better, they stay. And yes, the research backs this up. Inclusive teams consistently outperform in innovation, retention, and long-term profitability. This isn't a feel-good argument, it's a business one. What's also interesting, and not talked about nearly enough, is that some companies that didn't back down from their values have actually seen positive momentum. There are organizations that held the line, stayed aligned, and as a result, earned deeper trust from employees, customers, and candidates. In some cases, that conviction translated into stronger brand loyalty and even surges in adoption from people who wanted to support companies willing to stand for something. Values don't repel everyone, they attract the right people. And the same principle applies to your career. So when someone asks me whether they should remove DEI work from their resume or LinkedIn, my first response is always values-based. If inclusion, equity, and belonging genuinely matter to you, if this work reflects how you lead and how you show up, erasing it won't make you safer. It will just make you less visible to the employers who do care. Your resume isn't just a list of responsibilities, it's a declaration of what you stand for. Blending in doesn't guarantee you traction, but alignment increases the chances that when something does land, it's a place where you can actually thrive. That said, and this part is important, I also want to acknowledge reality and privilege. Not everyone has the luxury of waiting for perfect alignment. If you need a job quickly, there are ways to navigate this without erasing yourself entirely. Sometimes it's about adjusting the language, not the substance. Framing DEI-related work around culture building, engagement, mentorship, accessibility, or retention, letting the impact speak louder than the label. This isn't selling out, it's surviving within a system that isn't neutral. And you can even approach this strategically. I'm a big believer in A/B testing in a job search. Try 2 different versions of your resume, one with explicit DEI language and one without, to see which one yields a better response rate. Pay attention to how DEI-related content performs on LinkedIn. Let data and real-world feedback, not fear, guide your decisions. What I don't want people to do is shrink themselves permanently out of fear. When you hide the work you're proud of, you dim your own light. And the companies worth joining, they're not afraid of that light, they're drawn to it. So lead with your values when you can. Adapt thoughtfully when you must, but don't confuse silence with job search safety. If a company rejects you because you value inclusion, they didn't reject your talent, they've revealed their culture. And that information is powerful. If this is something you're navigating right now, you're not alone. These are complex decisions, and there's no one-size-fits-all answer, only intentional ones. If this resonated, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might be questioning whether they need to hide parts of themselves to get hired. Thanks for being here.